Today on the Big Rob Show, pasta's back on the menu. We're cooking up one of Rome's classic pasta dishes, carbonara. It's one of the first recipes I ever learned how to make, and I believe anybody, even the most amateur cooks, can make it at home. It's only a few ingredients, super simple, with a little bit of technique. Let me show you how to make it. Let's get in the kitchen and get cooking. With just a handful of ingredients, we can make an amazing carbonara. Here we have our Italian imported spaghetti, a beautiful Pecorino Romano cheese, which is classic to the Rome area and to this dish. We've got 6 eggs that we've scrambled up per pound of pasta, as well as 1.5 tablespoons of freshly cracked pepper. And then we've got our delicious pork products. Traditionally, carbonara uses guanciale, the cured pork jowl of the pig. While that ingredient is hard to find here in the States, we can definitely find what we have here on the cutting board. Some pancetta, which is cured pork belly that's been rolled and seasoned with black pepper, or bacon. And most people have bacon in the refrigerator. Bacon is also cured pork belly, but it's smoked as well, so it's going to give us that smoky flavor. And while you can use one or the other, or a combination of both like I have, it's going to be a delicious dish either way. So what we're going to do is chop up our pork, get it rendering in the pan, as well as get our spaghetti boiling, and we'll bring this dish together in about 5 to 6 minutes. A super quick and easy pasta dish. So here we're just cutting the pancetta and bacon into nice little cubes or little rectangles. And what we're going to do is put them in a cold pan to start out. Why a cold pan? Well, by starting with a cold pan, we're able to pull out and render all that fat out much slower, so it pulls even more fat than we would if we were starting with a warm pan. By throwing it all in this pan and getting all that fat out, we're able to get these pork products as crispy as possible, which are going to add to the textural component of the pasta and the dish. Now that our pork products are starting to slowly render out, we're going to get all the other ingredients ready, because again, this dish comes together super fast. In the time that your pasta takes to boil, everything else should be ready. So what we have here is the eggs and the black pepper that we're just going to mix together just to incorporate them fully. We don't need to add any salt to our egg mixture. Our pork and our cheese are already super salty. And by seasoning our pasta water, which we've done already, we added a healthy amount of salt to our boiling pasta water before adding the pasta. It's going to be all the salt content we need for this dish. So we're just going to add the cheese to our pasta, to our egg mixture. And what that does is create a nice little thick egg pasta mix that we'll then add our pasta water to thin out, cook the egg, and create a really creamy sauce. In a traditional carbonara, you don't need a single drop of milk, cream, butter, or any kind of dairy products other than the cheese. It is only the egg, the cheese, and the pasta water that form the sauce. So this is already thickening up with the cheese, and we'll save some extra cheese for topping. Get this pork cooking, and the pasta is already in the water boiling up. Alrighty, our pancetta and bacon are nice and crispy. It's rendered out some of the fat. What I've done is removed some off to the side so that I can finish the rest of the pasta in a bigger pot. But to show you, we're gonna make one nice little portion right here. Maybe not so little. So I got our bacon finishing up. I've pretty much lowered the heat all the way down. I don't want this bacon to burn. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our pasta right out of the colander, add it straight to that pork fat, a nice healthy portion, right into that bacon fat. We want our pasta cooked all the way through. Traditionally, I take out the pasta a little bit earlier while it's al dente to then cook in the rest of the sauce, but there's gonna be very little cooking in this pot. So I've got a nice healthy portion of pasta. I'm just gonna stir it with the bacon fat to get the noodles nice and coated. And then almost immediately I'm gonna turn the heat off, add some pasta water that I've reserved which is gonna immediately stop the cooking process. Deglaze the pan, remove any of those delicious bacon and pancetta bits off the bottom. And the starch of the pasta water is gonna act as a emulsifier between the pasta and the bacon fat, so that it almost creates its own creamy, thick sauce. But we're gonna up the creaminess now by adding our delicious egg and pecorino and black pepper mixture. We're just gonna add a little bit of that and immediately start stirring. Okay, our goal is to not scramble the eggs. You almost want to use your tongs, or if you feel comfortable like I did, to start flipping the pasta, and it's going to introduce air to the mixture, emulsify the sauce, warm the eggs so that they start to thicken. Remember, we're not looking for scrambled eggs. Just because the eggs aren't scrambling doesn't mean they're not cooking. It's why in creme brulees and ice cream and custards, you know, the texture doesn't turn to cottage cheese. Doesn't mean that the eggs aren't cooked. It almost gets a little paler in color, and that's how you know the eggs are cooking. They're thickening. And it's creating this beautiful velvety sauce. And we are almost there, guys. It's tightening up a little bit. There's less loose sauce. You don't see any of the scrambled. And again, a big part of that is I've taken the pan off the heat. I've turned off the heat completely, and I'm constantly moving the pasta. All right, we are looking good. It's super velvety. From here, we want to plate and eat it while it's hot, because as it cools, it's gonna congeal and set up. And carbonara is one of those things that you don't want to let set around. You want to eat it while it's nice and hot and velvety. So what I do is I take my tongs and I can just turn the plate as I let go. I can just twist. Super velvety, super delicious. Top it with any of that extra sauce and pancetta and bacon. Grab a little bit of pecorino. Sprinkle it on top. Can't go wrong with too much cheese, am I right, guys? And that's it. A beautiful plate of carbonara. I hope you guys join me on the next episode of The Big Rob Show. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Give us a like. Hit that notification bell. And if you haven't subscribed, we'd appreciate you subscribing. Thanks so much. See you next time, guys.